Take me back to that courtroom. Take me back to the verdict that came out not guilty.
They selected one person at the far end there to stand up and read the verdict. And he opened the envelope. It was a sealed envelope. He opened it. And then he read it out. The accused, Gerald Stanley, not guilty. And the courtroom just erupted and there were screaming going on, and no. All I could hear is people yelling and swearing and yelling, murder, burn in hell. And that's all I kept hearing, people yelling like that. No justice, they were yelling like that. And then I just sat there and put my head down and thinking of what just happened.
You talked about, that jury running out and how you felt like that was them thinking that you as First Nations people were hostile.
Later on, I thought about it and I said, why did they even run out? Who were they afraid of? Were they afraid of the natives retaliating, throwing things at them or something like that? The whole group of people are just going to go right after them, which is how their concept of thinking, that we're still hostile and savages, which is how they portray us as Indigenous people, like we're like human animals that have that wild instinct in them, is how they portray us. When they look at us like that, then they do not understand us. They do not understand what kind of people we are.
I've been watching the conversations in Saskatchewan, mostly online. Not being here. I'm watching the reaction points from both Indigenous communities, and I'm watching them from white communities, and the rhetoric is scary. You see death threats sometimes. We're seeing, musings of violence. I mean, we both have to live together on this land. How do we move forward after something like this?
When you look at this, who's doing the threats?
Seen it on both sides online.
That is because it's anger. It's anger on both sides, and in order for these young people, one thing I had suggested that we should have our own justice committee, our own courts.
Do you think that'll separate even more? Canada, a diverse country, or do we need to, reform what's already there?
Either that go in that direction, or bring our own justice system. And I think it would work. The judges, the prosecutors, the juries don't have or understand the First Nations people's way of life.
Do you see how there could be fear there? I mean, a car driving up onto land, even if they saw it coming, intoxicated young people?
I tried to put myself in Gerald Stanley's shoes. Mm-hmm. How he must have to deal with First Nations people. The hatred. Mad. Numerous times my place has been broken in. I have lost tools. Things have been gone missing. Putting up with that. I'm going to do something about this. And if they come around my yard, then it's time to retaliate. What he has done is racial killing. And how he's honored and giving $250,000 for killing an Indigenous man, a young man, just 22 years old. How they lied how they swore to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. The Bible. No understand. No, Bible means nothing to them. What kind of religion do they have? What's their belief system? Do they even believe in there's a God? And they lied. Oh, my lawyer, I'd look at him, and how disappointed he looked. I'd glance at him, and he'd see me looking at him, and how he wasn't able to say anything. How I wasn't able to say anything. My hands were tied. His hands were tied. I felt like my mouth was taped. Gerald Stanley should have been charged with first-degree murder.
What would you need as an Indigenous person, obviously immediately affected by this case? What would you need to change to be comfortable being neighbors again?
We as First Nations people have tried numerous times. My grandfather used to help the white farmers in the surrounding areas. My grandpa did fencing. He also helped with rock picking. He also helped them with their horses. He also shoed their horses. He also broke their horses. He trained their horses. There was a relationship one time in the surrounding area of the reserves. But further down, this white supremacist attitude that they have is what they're still holding on to, that, and will not let it go.
So do we have a chance as neighbors then in 2018?
Relationship. Communication. Understanding is a start from there. We need to communicate. If the community is having problems with our people, we want to hear it from their community and let us know that we will soon address this problem. That is one of the things we need to do, is start communicating. Stop blaming each other.
We have come to this point as a country far too many times. Indigenous people across this country are angry, they're heartbroken, and I know Indigenous and non-Indigenous Canadians alike know that we have to do better.
I know these Prime Minister, the MPs, I wish they had a magic wand that can do all this, but they don't. This has to, it's up to the society if they want this. It's up to the people. I have a lot of non-Indigenous people as friends. Mm-hmm. Good people. Caring people. They don't have any racism at all. They get along. Friendship. And that's what I take seriously, is friendship. You treat me good, I treat you good. And this is how friendship is developed, by respecting. That's where it starts. We have to respect one another. Otherwise, this is what we're teaching our kids, the white communities, got to take their role and responsible too. Same with Indigenous people in communities. They have to start taking in.
It's almost like
Caring.
starting a new relationship, like
That's
starting
where-
from scratch.
Yeah, that's where it has to start. There's no other way.
You spoke of that belief in Jesus. How is that helping you through?
I do believe in Jesus. I do believe in that he was among us. He walked among us. In my language, we call him Nutawi no Kusans, our Father's Son. He was another person, was condemned and killed for no reason.
The entire country knows the name Colton Boushie now. We know it from a story. We know it from this case. This was your nephew.
He was like my son. My kids, my sister's kids, are like my children.
If you could say anything to him, what would you want to say?
I would want to say that I loved you, Colton. What I would also tell him, go be with your relatives, your ancestors. Don't look back. Walk with God.